Hi, I'm Kim and thanks for coming back to Homestead Witchery. Today I'm going to talk about the rules of witchcraft. And when I say rules, I say it with air quotes. Today in one of the groups that I mod, there was a question from a new witch who said, I'm new and I'm terrified of doing something wrong. And they said, I'm very afraid of breaking the rules, but I don't understand why these rules exist. Why can't I, as a beginner witch, cast a love spell? Why can't I work with a deity? Why can't I hex someone? And so that's what I decided to talk about today. Why people say this. Now what I told them was, unless you're in a religion, like Wicca, there aren't rules. There's no right way to witch, or wrong way, really. Mostly. Any more than there's a right or wrong way to be a person. The people who say, oh, you have to follow the threefold law, or the do as you will, harm ye none, do as you will. That's a Wiccan thing, the Wiccan Rede. It's the Wiccan Rede. Not everyone's Wiccan. I'm not. And the everything you do will come back to you threefold. That makes no scientific sense. And I don't believe it. So that's up to you. If you follow those tenets, then go ahead and do that. But you can't expect that of other people any more than the Christians can expect you to have fear in God or the devil. It's just, that's not everyone's religion. And you have to respect that. Or you don't have to, but they're not going to be like you. Not everybody's going to be like you. That said, I pointed out that there are more consequences than rules. So why shouldn't a young witch or a new witch do a love spell? Well, you are interfering with someone else's life. Their consent is really huge. It's huge with me. That's why I don't believe in piercing a baby's ears or circumcision. I just don't believe that's enforcing your will on somebody else's body, and I think that's wrong. And I feel the same way about cropping and docking dogs and love spells. You shouldn't enforce your will on somebody who didn't consent. There are exceptions to that, and that will be the last thing I cover. Now, why shouldn't you work with a deity if you're new? You can try, but do you know enough to know who you're actually communicating with or receiving information from? Probably not. I don't even know that, and I've been a witch and been practicing for decades, literal decades. That doesn't make me the end-all and be-all of all witch knowledge, but if I'm not comfortable yet saying, hey, I'm going to work with specific deity, that should just tell you something. There are things that you need to be cautious about. I don't even really believe in gods and goddesses. I believe in higher and lower entities. I might be atheist. Don't know that yet. That's another video. But the fact is, there are things that are more powerful than us in the world and in the universe. And so if you try to get their attention, you don't really know whose attention you're going to get. So you should be careful, and that's why people say that. Consequences of the love spell could be obsession, like the craft. The kid was obsessed with her because she did that little love spell on him. Or it could, if they're shielded and you don't know, it could bounce back on you. What if you became obsessed with them, even more than you apparently already are? Or if you're doing one for somebody else, which I would never do. There's just too many chances of ricochets in that situation. I would never do it, personally. That's why with the deity, if you get something's attention who does not have good intent for you, you're in danger. So that's why people recommend newer witches not do those things. Now for the hexing. Is that infringing on someone's will? Yes. Without their consent, I would imagine. Now, who's going to consent to being hexed or cursed? I'm not. The thing is, when I think a hex is or a curse is okay, it's mainly defensive. I don't think that I would do an offensive curse or spell or jinx or anything like that. Let's take the hex the president thing that happened in 2016 or whenever it was. I don't even remember. The government is infringing on my rights as a woman and as a queer person. So I'm defending myself with those defensive spells that I was doing. The binding, that's defensive for me. You might not consider it to be defensive, and that's okay. You're allowed to have your opinion. I don't have that opinion, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But the reason that you might want to hold back as a new witch is the consequence of screwing up one of those spells is, what if the person you're aiming it at is really protected? It's going to bounce off, and that energy is going to shoot somewhere, because that's the second law of thermodynamics, I think. Isn't that the second one? I don't remember, but that's also why I don't believe in a threefold law. The energy is going to go somewhere. It might come back and hit you. It might hit someone else just at random, which is not fair to anyone. That's why we recommend that young witches, or new witches, I keep saying young and I apologize. That's why we recommend that new witches don't do those sorts of spells without experience and maybe guidance from someone with more experience. That's why covens are handy. I am not in a coven. I don't really plan on being in a coven. Unless you loosely say I'm in a coven because I'm in some Facebook groups. You can say that because I do occasionally work together with people in that way. But I don't meet up with anybody. But if you're new, find a mentor. It works that way for tradespeople and jewelers, artists. It works that way for witches too. Find a mentor. You can ask somebody if you wanted to. Don't ask me. Don't ask me because I'm really busy and don't have the time or the energy that it would take to mentor someone and help them along in that way. But if you are in a big Facebook group, ask in there. Someone in there will probably help. But I also think you should vet those people, because if you've been a witch for a year, I don't think you're ready to mentor someone. I am INFJ, so that's the J coming out. Anyway, that is it for this week. It's very short and sweet and simple. Maybe not so sweet. It's short and simple, and I just want to say that I may be absent over the next month or so. I'm going back home to North Carolina for my birthday, sort of, and my niece is graduating. Yay! So I'm going to be out of town, away from this camera, and I'll only have my phone. I might do some shorts, maybe. But there'll probably be an extended time of absence. I also have my Patreon that I'm really trying to focus a lot of energy on and grow that and improve that and make it worth people's time and money to participate. And if you want to try it out and see what I'm talking about, you can go over to patreon.com/CleverKimsCurios to look. I do a spell and a recipe. If you're at a certain tier, you get a spell box with the tools and ingredients you will need for the spell that month. I post video content. I'm doing Lens now. You may have access to me through Marco Polo if you want spell advice. So I kind of am doing some mentoring if people want. But you gotta pay me for that. And it's just a really good time. I'm having fun with it and I'm putting more energy into that. I also have a secret project that I'm working on, that I'm starting. So I'm going to be really busy, so YouTube videos might be short and sweet if they happen at all. But that is it. If you want to find me on the internet, you can find my shop at cleverkimscurios.com. You can find me on Instagram at cleverkimscurios and on Facebook at cleverkimscuriosities, I think. If you Google Clever Kim's Curios, all that stuff will pop up. Just find me that way. Or you can comment down below. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will probably see you next week.